A Nazir is defined as a person who takes upon themselves a vow not to drink wine or any type of wine product for a specific period of time. Interestingly, the word Nazir is found in our Parsha. When it comes to the brachos Yaakov gave his sons, in the bracha of Yosef, Yaakov describes Yosef as Nazir Echov, someone who was separated from his brothers. So the word Nazir means just as a person, a Nazir, separates themselves from wine, Yosef was separated from his brothers. But why did Yaakov choose that word? So the Gemara Maseches Shabbos tells us that from the language used by Yaakov, we learn that indeed Yosef took upon himself, once he left his father and his brothers, that he was not going to drink wine until he was reunited with them. And until the brothers came down to Mitzrayim, Yosef did not drink wine for that entire period of time. Reason being that Yosef said, I can't sit in luxury as the viceroy of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, knowing the pain that my father is in, missing me and not knowing what happened to me. So Yosef was a Nazir. But the Gemara continues and says that the brothers were also Nazirim, because they themselves had regret over what happened to Yosef. They felt badly. They knew that Yosef was somewhere out there in some country, although not knowing exactly where. And because of that, they said, we can't be in luxury. If Yosef is struggling, if Yosef is suffering, if our father is suffering, so they took upon themselves that they too were not going to drink wine. But the Beis Yisrael asks an interesting question. Why is it then that the brothers were not described as Yaakov as being Nazirim, and only Yosef was described as Nazir Echov? So he explains based on the Gemara Nidarim that if a person takes a neder, if a person takes a promise, an oath, that they are not going to do a certain thing, and they do it based on a fact that they did not know, that had they known the information before they would take that vow, they would never have done it in the first place. So the Gemara says in such a situation, if a person was lacking information, they do not have to keep the vow in which they took. And therefore, the brothers, had they known that Yosef was the viceroy in Mitzrayim, they would never have taken such a vow upon themselves. And so therefore, Yaakov does not describe them as Nazirim, as being those who separated themselves from wine. But Yosef, regardless, no matter how anything played out, knew that his father was suffering, and guessed and assumed that his brothers had regret. And certainly as the process went on, it became revealed to him that his brothers had regret. And therefore Yosef separated himself from enjoying, from having a luxurious time, because he knew that his father was suffering and was in pain. And therefore Yaakov calls Yosef Nazir Echov, which is really such a tremendous lesson for us in life about how it is that we act when we know that someone else is in pain, that we know that someone else is struggling, and finding ways for us to empathize with them, to show them that we care and they are not alone. Ultimately, it is for us in our lives to find those avenues to be able to connect with others who are in less fortunate situations or difficult circumstances. And when doing so, we can bring them comfort, hope for a better future. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.